Morning. It's the 23rd of September 2024. It's Monday morning. And the current draft of Lisa McAuliffe book 3 is cracking on. It was going really well last week. I got loads written. I'm going to start chapter 4 tomorrow. But what I'm thinking about at the moment is, if you don't already know, this is the third book because here are the first two. 1, 2. And it's the diary of Lisa McAuliffe, and it's her year. So she's 10 and 11 in that book. She's 11 and 12 in that book. The book I'm writing now, she's 12 and 13, and she's a reader. So it's her diary, and so throughout the story, and there is a narrative of things that go on, she writes down what she's reading, and sometimes it has relevance to her life as well. So I always have to think about what books am I going to make her read. And when she was in this book, which is when she was 10 and 11, I just went with stuff that I remembered. So I made her read Enid Blyton. And I made her read, can't remember what else, a few others. Her step-granddad lends her Catcher in the Rye, which she reads but doesn't understand because she's a bit young. But that's where she is there. In this book, I gave it a bit more thought. She reads Anne Frank's diary at school. She reads Little Women. She reads a modern version of Little Women called Becoming Joe. She reads a sci-fi book called Gone. And can't remember what else. But it's a little bit more relevant, and I asked around and asked some young people what they were reading at school and that kind of thing. So the third book, I was about to try and find it, but I have nothing yet because I'm writing it. The third book, I'm thinking now about what I'm going to make her read. And she is a teenager in this book. She turns 13. And I know that when I was 13, I read a lot of adult stuff. I don't mean sexy adult stuff. I mean just grown-up books. I used to raid my mum and dad's bookcase for their novels that they read. So I'm thinking that would be what she does too from her school library. So she'll be reading the stuff that's Vicky Stage 4. And so a couple of things came up, but one of them was this, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It's by Mark Haddon, and it came out, I'm going to double check. Well, my copy's from 2004 because I've written it at the front, May 2004. But it came out, in 2004, there you go. And it's a really, really good book. And I read it again last week just to remind myself. And I sped through it. I did it in an afternoon. And so I think I've made her read this at some point, and it's going to have a little bit of relevancy to what is happening in her life at the time. But it just reminded me what a good book it was. So I don't need to promote it. It's kind of worldwide famous. But it was one of those where I'd only read it once or twice back in the day, and I really enjoyed rereading it. And I'm going to make Lisa read it. What's interesting is, I googled this. There are two versions apparently, and this is the adult version that came out, and there was a child-friendly version. And I'm assuming there's quite a bit of swearing in this. I'm assuming that's the difference, although I don't know. And swearing is another thing I need to think about I have been thinking about with Lisa, about what words will be part of her vocabulary now that she's getting older. But that's another story. I'm giving that some thought. But I definitely got the sweary version. And I don't think I'm going to specify which version she has. I'm just going to let her talk about the story. Anyway, that's the update for today. Rereading old books is great. Thinking about what books my made-up character reads is interesting. And also, I still need to find out from young people today in school the kind of things that they're being given in class, just so I can kind of keep a little bit relevant. Anyway, that's it for today. Whatever you're doing, have fun. It's really rainy here, but I kind of like that. I've got the light on for the first time, I think, since I've been doing these. And I will be back here next week with more to say, I'm sure. Okay, bye-bye.